Got the transfer case out of the little Suzuki Jimny because today we're going to do the 4-to-1-ish low ratio gear set in there. 24% lower in high range and 84% lower in low range. So this is a divorce transfer case, which is cool. This goes to the transmission, this goes to the front drive shaft, this goes to the rear drive shaft. One thing to note is that my rear drive shaft one had a bunch of oil in it, so I got to figure out how that's happening. Could just be the CV joint back there. But pulled it off in about 30 minutes. These are the mounts. I took the mounts off with it. These are getting upgraded to steel from aluminum because I hear these fail, like right here. So yeah, that'll be taken care of. It does have a little breather on it, but it's got this boot, and my boot is kind of cracked, so I don't know how sealed this is gonna be. It is sealed up better than a lot of Toyota transfer cases, though, I'll tell you that much. So I am gonna snorkel this breather, but it'll probably still get water in it occasionally. But yeah, let's go ahead and split this thing open. It is a chain-driven transfer case with a planetary gear set, so it's gonna be kind of complicated. All right, so I got the transfer case split open. It's a big old chain in there, and a lot of people say to upgrade this to the Suzuki Samurai style transfer case. I didn't think that was necessary for my use case because this is a little tiny 3-cylinder motor, and I'm not putting a ton of miles and stuff, so the chain will last just fine for me. But yeah, so I'm gonna put the low gears in the stock transfer case to keep as many things stock as possible. Obviously, if I have issues, I can put a Samurai one later. It's not that much work. But what I did to split it was I removed the shifter, I removed the sensors, and then I took the 3 flanges off and took the bolts off and split it. Pretty straightforward. This is your input from your engine. It goes through these 2 gears. So this will be my 24% reduction, changing these 2 gears. And then back in there is a planetary gear, and that'll be my additional 60% reduction in low. This right here is just the ring for your vehicle speed sensor. All right, that's what she looks like all apart. Pretty sweet. That's your input gear that's getting changed. And then the gear on the drum down there is getting changed. You just pull that snap ring. There's your drum for your low range reduction. It's a planetary reduction. And then you've got this series of sprags right here, and that's what goes and engages your front drive shaft. It doesn't look brand new in here, but everything looks totally serviceable and okay. I am now just waiting for my parts to come in. Okay, so I'm starting to reassemble the transmission. This is the rear output shaft here, and it's got this coupler that goes to the front output shaft to give you 4-wheel drive. This is the only thing that's been tricky so far, so I'm mostly making this video to help my buddies that are gonna do the same mod. So if you look at here, you have 2 pockets, you have 2 missing teeth. The keeper does not go in one of the pockets, it goes between them. See the same thing there? See the missing teeth? Missing teeth on either side of the keeper, and the spring in there pushes the keeper out into a detent. So I need my other hand, but that is what it looks like when it's in 4-wheel drive. It's pretty tricky to get those detents working right, and if you don't have those detents right, nothing else is gonna work. All right, shit's getting serious. Putting on my second set of gloves. Other one got tore. This is a pretty cool transfer case. I think one of the reasons to upgrade to the Samurai one is that it doesn't have as much bullshit in it. This thing's kind of complicated because it's got I think it's got some shift on the fly 4-wheel drive shit going on. So I got the GoPro to try to show you what I'm doing here. So this right here, put this down, this is your output shaft to the front differential, okay? That goes in the case. Front flange goes on here. There's 2 bearings on it because it's an idler when you're in 2-wheel drive. Okay, this is a little weird copper thing. I think it's like a synchro kind of engagement. It has some friction on there and it helps the teeth line up. Okay, this is the complicated part. So you've got your output shaft, a sleeve around it, and 3 spring keepers that just went flying everywhere. That's kind of what I wanted to demonstrate. Hopefully we can find them all. So there's one on the laptop with the useless instructions. There's 2, and 1 is in the toolbox. Great. These 3 keepers have a spring, 2 springs stacked down inside there that push them out. And the instructions say nothing about where this stuff goes. That's the worst diagram you could possibly put. But if you look at it, they kind of have to go right here. Okay, so figured that much out, I think. And I remember from taking it apart that these pointy teeth, let me see if I can line this up. These pointy teeth on this selector go towards the front, so it goes in like this. So I remember all that. But you got to get all this stuff timed properly, and it's a real pain in the ass. So I'm gonna go over to the vise. I've taken this apart a few times now. I'm doing it again just for this video. I'm pretty sure I got it figured out. So you put your springs in there, right? Then you put this piece on, and this piece has cutouts in one of the splines for those detents. These 3 detent guys. I think the manual calls them keys. So these keys slide into these detents. It's pretty wild. So these go in here like this. See how many times I can lose them. I've rebuilt a lot of gear-driven Toyota transfer cases, and I like working on them better. Okay, and then this goes, there's 2 missing splines, and there's one with the detent. The one with the detent lines up on the key. It is a trip. And you push the keys in. Helps to have a pick. Kind of push the keys in to get them seated. All right, there we go. All right, so that will kind of hold itself together because, like I said, those keys are snapped into a detent. So this position right here, I'm not sure what it really is, but I can show you what 4-wheel drive is. So that spring gets pushed down in there by this copper piece because it has 3 cutouts. So it sits, the keys also engage this copper piece. So right now, this would be 2-wheel drive. And then this would be your output to the front diff. So that's 2-wheel drive. And then if you want to engage 4-wheel drive, you pull this up. And it's got those little teeth, little sharp teeth guys that kind of align it. And that's fully engaged in 4-wheel drive right there. Now once you have it in this configuration, it kind of holds itself together. So I think the way to do it is get it in the 4-wheel drive, put your shift fork on, your 2 to 4-wheel drive shift fork, position it like so, and then stab it into the case. All right, so for a fact, that is together properly for 4-wheel drive. We know that. But to get the shifter in, it has to be in 2-wheel drive. So the way to do that is with one hand, hold this shaft in, and with the other hand, grab your shift shaft and pull it towards you. That's actually what 2-wheel drive looks like. You just have to kind of break the friction of that, that stupid engagement synchro thing. So it's in 2-wheel drive now. It's just there's a little bit of friction from that brass piece because there's no oil in it. So that's what 2-wheel drive looks like. That makes a lot more sense based on where the shift shaft is positioned. So I've got that part figured out. Now I've got to take my bearing off of here because I'm reusing that bearing with my new input shaft that's coming in. All right, I just put in the lockup plate for the planetary gear set. You can tell which way it goes in because there's usually a line on it where your gear oil was sitting. So the clean side was under the oil, so that's the bottom. You can also tell by looking at the back side of it, and it's also shaped slightly different. The gutter goes up on that top one. There's a little oil gutter thing. But yeah, so right now we're ready for low range gears, and I believe it's in 2-wheel drive. So yeah. You guys, lots of parts came in, and I'm admittedly a little bit inebriated. These are the heavy duty transfer case mounts. They're steel, they replace the aluminum, etc. Don't need those right now. But we did get our gears and our new seals and our new nuts. Very exciting. So that is the input gear from the transmission. It's smaller. And then this is the output gear, which is bigger. That's pretty simple. But what's not simple is that everything goes in backwards. So if you look at this, your output gear is on the outer housing of the centrifugal. Now your output gear is on the inner housing. That's confusing. So this centrifugal with the gear reduction actually goes in backwards. I thought I got the wrong stuff, so I started playing with it and I realized what was going on. Pretty freaking weird. Also, you have to install this gear onto this splined inner sun gear piece, and they give you a snap ring, which makes it easier than taking off this crazy snap ring. The problem is this snap ring does not want to go in there. I had to grind the edges near the holes because it was too fat to slip down in there. But now that I got that together, I think I can put it all in. So this obviously is going to slide in here like so, and then the chain goes on. But before I do that, I got to press this bearing onto there like that, and then then we can put it all together. All right, so we got the drive chain in, we got our new gears, that gear's smaller, that gear's bigger, 24%, and then we got another 60% in the planetary, and I think it's all in there properly. Who knows? Next thing to look at is make sure you got your snap ring here on your shift shaft, and look around here. These are all old parts, those are out of the Talon. Yeah, we got to put some seals in, got to put some nuts on. Yeah, we're getting there. All right, so I got the two cases back together, and then I got the shifter in. That was a trick. You kind of had to go in there and like move it around and get it in just the right position between the gears to stick the shifter in. And the instructions say nothing about that. Typical. But I think now it's in four-wheel drive. Rear and front output are locked. And I think it's in ultra low, aka 84% lower than stock. So I got a green mark here and a green mark here, and we're gonna measure or count how many turns it takes of the input to make one turn of the output. So there's one turn, there's two turns, three turns, four turns. All right, it's just about midnight, but I got the transfer case together with the new heavy-duty steel mounts. I'm reusing my old super soft bushings, or transfer case mounts. May have to change those eventually. They're really flimsy. But yeah, it's all together. It's got all the right modes. So we're in two-wheel high right there, and that's got a 24% reduction. Then we go to high. That's also got a 24% reduction. I calculated that, counting input versus output. Then you push down, you pull back, and now we're in ultra low. And look how slow that sucker down there turns. Over 4-to-1. So yeah, looking good. I would throw it in the truck tonight, but I'm waiting on a new output shaft seal for my transmission. Turns out the JB23W uses a very small output shaft seal that is different than the Samurai output shaft seal that I ordered. So we're waiting on a new tiny seal. This is the old mount, so I'll hang on to these in case someone needs them. They're in good shape, but yeah. Also the old gears in case someone needs that. I've got all kinds of goodies laying around now. Yep, got the new drive shaft, or excuse me, the old drive shaft rebuilt with a regular CV joint because it was puking grease. That'll be very premium. Oh yeah, pro tip, put ultra gray at the base of your nut and the thread so it doesn't leak gear oil out of there, you know? That's not good. And these bolts are different lengths. Make sure the long ones go into the long holes that are longer. You know, that's a long hole, it's a short hole. Still need to snorkel it, pop this cap off, and see if I can run a hose off of it. Although this boot right here is not giving me warm fuzzies about being very waterproof, so it might not be a worthwhile endeavor. Probably one of those where I just change the transfer case fluid a lot. I do have a new one of those boots ordered though. But yeah, I wish that boot would come in time, because then I could change it while I have the transfer case out on the bench, that would be the right time to change it, obviously. Yep, what's funny about the instructions is the entire thing I fought with the four-wheel drive mechanism up here did not even need to come out. You could have left all that in there and just taken this part apart. So, you know, whatever, the instructions suck. It's good to take it apart to clean it anyway. Now I know how it works, but you don't actually have to touch anything in here. If you leave it all in place and you're careful, you could rebuild this a lot faster.